successfully targeted coalition members, first the train bombs in Spain, now the bombings in London. Some experts believe al-Qaeda's aim may be to break the will of coalition allies to stay in Iraq. Others believe those may have been easier targets and that another attack on the U.S. is inevitable. KTVU's RENEE KEMP is in San Francisco with a live report. RENEE.
Dennis, as Americans watch those scenes of horror from London, the question is inevitable. Could terrorists be planning a similar attack here in the United States? And another question, could a change in U.S. policy in Iraq spare America from being targeted by such an attack?
I think that what happened back east could happen here. I think what happened in London could happen here.
Along with empathy for Great Britain's, many Americans have a disquieting fear that sooner rather than later it will happen here, too. But will that sentiment translate into deeper support for President Bush and the war, or result in an ever-increasing drumbeat to get out of Iraq? Recent polls show American support for the war in Iraq at an all-time low of around 43%. And many analysts believe plummeting support for the war in Great Britain may have actually provided a catalyst there for terrorists.
The attacks on London are probably being motivated by the view that the English people have gotten to a point where they may be able to be pushed to oppose the current government in England, just as was done in Spain.
A year ago, terrorists bombed a commuter train in Madrid, killing hundreds of people and leading voters there to expel the conservative president who supported the war and elect an anti-war candidate who agreed to pull Spanish troops out of Iraq. If that was the aim of the attack on England or any potential attack on America, will that work or would it backfire?
Unfortunately, it's a little late, and the terrorists are the hive is already buzzing.
According to the Independent Institute, the State Department reported 175 acts of terror around the world in 2003. Last year, that number more than tripled to 625. This year, the State Department has declined to publish the so-called Patterns Report on Terror Activity, experts say to stem the tide of public fear. But other experts at the Independent Institute, an Oakland-based think tank, believe the terror attacks in London will lead Americans to call for an exit strategy in Iraq so that the war doesn't come to America.
I think that what we should be talking about is a clear exit strategy for the U.S. What was claimed about Iraq has not proven to be the case.
And in other civilized nations.
British Prime Minister Tony Blair had planned to leave office during the current parliamentary session. British analysts say that he might now receive an outpouring of support in the wake of the terror attacks that could actually prolong his political career. And President Bush may also get a temporary boost in the ratings. But ultimately, the guess is by the analysts that we spoke to today that Americans will begin to call for American troops to be pulled out of Iraq and be pulled out quickly. Live in San Francisco, RENEE KEMP, KTVU Channel 2 News.